Hey. Uh so this is super weird because it's what, almost 6 o'clock there? Or seven?
Yeah, it's well no, almost 7 o'clock.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like about to be 11 o'clock AM here.
my word. That's an early time to be doing the podcast. So thank you for letting me do that this time.
Yeah, before when you're like 5, I'm like, that's 9 AM. I'm not getting up on a weekend that early.
Oh, damn. Yeah, yeah. No, I didn't think about that. I keep forgetting that Seattle, you live in Seattle? Yeah,
Hmm.
I keep forgetting just how far back it is. It always takes you by surprise every Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah. But I just thought it was funny. I was just like, let's do 10 or like
Mm,
6 o'clock
yeah,
your time, 10 for me.
yeah, yeah. No,
And then
that's
you're,
absolutely reasonable. It's
yeah.
way too, it's way too early. It's way too early for you guys. I think so. I used to do um like a podcast, Ugo and Spoilers, and a lot of the time, like me and my friends will get together and we'll be talking about different things in the media, and we always ended up talking for so long. So I kept trying to move the start time a bit earlier and earlier, so that we're not like dead at night. So like, I think my brain was anticipating, anticipating that.
I've been doing pretty well with like the time.
Mm.
Sometimes some episodes are just like throwaway episodes. It's like we can't use any of this because we just
Oh,
talked to
really?
like we forgot what like the point was. Um, One of my podcast hosts and I like we tried a different platform and we did that, and I was like, I can't get the episode, but it should never have seen the light of day anyway, so we're fine. But
Well,
I
it's
think
still fun
the
conversations.
yeah, I think the longest I've done is like an hour and 45 minutes.
That's really good. I I'm not sure that I've done one that short. Like not short, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But mostly just due to lack of control. I think I've only had it something like that when we've just been like, okay, today we've got to stick to it because you know some of it we have work or whatever the next morning, whatever it happens to be. But yeah, what was the thing that made you start doing it? Like, was there a particular piece of
Um,
media or something that made you start doing this?
One of my friends and I we reconnected at Emerald City when it came back like in the December one that they did after COVID.
Hmm,
And we had worked together like a year, a couple months before, but she had left to work somewhere else, which I understand because retail sucks.
sure.
But we would meet up weekly for like dinner dates just to like hang out, catch up, and we would just talk about anime and we talk about different parts of like the fandom and like
Hmm.
Marvel and stuff like that. And we were having a lot of fun. We're like, other people should hear us because we're pretty great. And I'm like, yeah, I can talk about anything and people should listen to me because I'm right and I'm very opinionated. And we just were like, okay, let's do a podcast. And I'm like, cool, let's just record it and figure it out. And here I am still doing it.
Isn't it? Nice. No, it's really cool that you kept it up as well. How when did you start?
Um, this is the second year. So it officially started last year, um, in March. So like Emerald City, like the last day of Emerald City is like officially when we started like promoting everything and
Sure.
getting people interested. And we were like, we had already recorded a couple episodes. This
Mhm.
time, um, with this second season, it's all been me. But the second half of the season for the end of the year has been video, and this is my favorite now. I want to do more.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned a lot of new skills, and I hate it. So
Because it makes you want to dive in deeper. You're going down this rabbit hole.
yeah, I don't. I wish I had like more skills to do the stuff that I want. So I have to keep learning and going down like little rabbit holes on like YouTube and like
Mm.
Google, and I'm like, I hate this. I just want it to be one way and be done.
Yeah, and to just work. It takes up more time as well. I had to pause mine just for a bit of mental health. Just well, I found that it became a pressure. I was pressuring myself to keep this a certain schedule and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
or expectations of people, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to only do it now if I have the space, and then you know we've got things to talk about. But yeah, but I miss it. I genuinely do miss it.
Yeah.
Like you say, you're chatting with your friends and you have all these opinions. You're like, you know what, people need to hear this because these are the right normalized opinions. But yeah, I was starting from One Division. That was the thing that kicked it off for. for me, and it was more of a consolidation of several conversations I was having with individuals,
Hmm.
asking about theories and things like that, and then just like, okay, this is getting too much. You know what? I'm just gonna have one place that I'm saying it and stuff like that, and then that's pretty much how it escalates.
Yeah, when uh we took like a break last year, and that's when my friend left the podcast because she had like a lot of health stuff coming up, and I was like traveling a lot more, and then I had a concussion, and I was like, I can't really do a podcast with a concussion. I can
No.
try, but it's not going to make sense.
That would have been a really interesting episode.
It was pretty interesting when I went to San Diego with a
Mm.
concussion that was like 5 days old, and everyone was talking to me. I barely remember my time there.
Are you serious? You actually went to San Diego
I
Comic Con with
I
concussion?
had a free ticket. There's no way I was giving it up. That was like my dream.
Oh, I get it. I get it. Yeah, yeah. No, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
But
It
damn.
actually was not a good San Diego. Like the only thing that was cool is that I won a ticket to meet this Japanese author,
Mhm,
Junjito Ito,
mhm.
but I didn't even know I won because like we had to hit a box and all the lights went off and then they like grabbed my wrist to give me a wristband. I'm like, "What's this for?" And they're like, "You go over here now, lady. Just stand over here."
Oh man, that must have been so strange. Have you been back? Did you go this year?
I didn't go this year. I wish I did because it would have been a lot better because there's actually actors this year and there was a lot
Okay,
more anime stuff and I would have loved that. I'm going to
okay,
go next year though.
right, right, right. Yeah,
Because now I know and I can plan better and I'll actually be aware of what's happening.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. You can be not concussed and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
But
Yeah.
no, I had a lot of fun. I went to the zoo one day. I stayed an extra couple of days and I was just at the zoo all day.
Mhm.
And I got lost a couple of times because it's huge. But now I want to go back because they have a panda.
Wait, there was a zoo in San Diego, or there was a
Yeah,
zoo?
zoo at San Diego.
Okay, right, right. I for a minute, just for a brief minute, I thought like, wait, there's a zoo at this Comic Con as well.
I mean, it
Um,
kind of is a zoo.
really?
It kind of is a zoo because all the people and then all the protesters
Oh
outside are pretty
yes,
funny.
yes. And all the what did you say?
Protesters outside.
Oh, oh,
That was
wow.
pretty great walking through that, them yelling about, like, we're going to hell. And I was like, I'm already going there. Like, this makes no difference.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Really?
it's because, yeah, they protest San Diego Comic Con because they don't like that people dress up in cosplay and, do all the comic stuff. They're like, you're worshiping the devil.
Wow, wow. I I did not expect that.
Oh,
I
you could look it
literally.
up. It's super funny. Like, some people will dress up as Batman or, like, wear signs and they have, like, Batman died for our sins, which are pretty great.
Oh, so now it's become a meme-worthy thing that people, a bit like the Dragon Con pattern and stuff like that people use and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so I think people who go have a lot of fun with it because they're like, it doesn't matter. I mean,
Mm,
almost every convention I've gone to, they have people protesting it, and it's like you're just doing this because you have nothing to do today.
wow. I I've never seen it. That's crazy. I've never seen it. I assumed it was protesting about something else. I thought it was like, say, wanting to draw people's attention to Palestine or something like that. Didn't realize it was a protest against actual cosplaying and stuff like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, they also had the protests because it was a writer strike,
Mm, mm,
but they
mm,
weren't
mm.
there. But there was some celebrities that had gone to the convention, and people would stop them to ask them questions, and they're like, "I'm not talking about anything. I'm not promoting anything. I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the strike, and I just had to come here to do this one thing."
Hmm. Right.
So
That
it is pretty
that's
cool.
yeah. One day, one day I'll go. There was a time I really wanted to, and then I didn't then I didn't care so much. I felt when I found Dragon Con, there was someone who convinced me that I don't need to worry too much about San Diego Comic Con. That the one for cosplayers was Dragon Con, and
That's
then
true.
I went to check it out, and I realized what they meant, and that it was completely different from any kind of con that I'd been to. Um, and so then I actually had the chance to go to San Diego at some point because at a WonderCon, I think it was 2018, I actually competed. I say that because I wasn't really going to compete. I just wanted to be in be in character and do the things. But because of that, I was able to go to San Diego. But um, I wasn't able to fly over for something like that. I didn't have a chance. So yeah, maybe one day just to tick it off. But yeah.
I will say this: it is the most expensive place I've ever been to in my life. Like I've been to a lot of different conventions. I've traveled for stuff. San Diego is like the worst one. I didn't really buy anything at the con. I think I bought like a shirt and something else,
Mm-hmm.
but the food was insane. Like Starbucks jacked up their price to like another $30 because that whole area makes their whole year profit in that weekend.
Whoa. Oh my word. That is
So
no.
they were really happy when it came back. But yeah, they make a shit ton of money. I got like tacos. I think I spent $15. That was pretty cheap. I don't know. I got like a whole bunch of tacos. Nobody spoke any English in there, but like the place was packed. So I just said, I want what that guy in front of me got.
I want that one.
And then I got In-N-Out Burger, which I wish I got like 5 burgers because it was so good and it was the first time I've ever had it.
Right, right, right. Yeah, I really want to go to these classic places that people like even just you know, um, to some people they might just be regular, but to me it means something. Like I remember
Mm-hmm.
when I first had Popeyes. I remember when I felt like it's just Chick-fil-A, right? It's like this is a thing for someone like me who's a visitor, right? And then sometimes my friend Chris, who you know, I remember when I think it was maybe third Dragon Con or something, and I was like, yeah, no, I've never been to Chick-fil-A. It's like, what? You never been Chick-fil-A? Man, I am not doing my job as a friend. You've not been Chick-fil-A? You know, it's just like sorry, I just haven't. And yeah, so I put the blame square on him, but that did get
People
ruined.
freak out about Chick-fil-A all the time. Like there's one about an hour away from me, but they're putting one in like a town away, like one town over from where I work.
Mhm.
Everyone's freaking out about it. They're just like, I can't wait to go. And I'm like, it's just chicken.
It's just a regular
It's
thing, right?
okay.
Yeah, and it's true. It really is. I when I finally had it, it's just like it's nice, but it's a takeout chicken, which I like, and that's all good. I also, and I'm not one to talk because I make a big deal out of IHOP, the most common thing, and I do make a big deal out of it, and like, yeah, I do love it, and I love the convenience of it as well, because in the UK, you have to look to find all day breakfast type places. You have to
Hmm.
really look to find it, and it's really going to be in main places like London itself, for example, or whatnot. So having it just available to me like that is is a dream come true because that's the sort of food that I like.
No, but I like that. I like when you can go someplace and find like what is the best place local or like kind of hidden places that you didn't expect. I
Yeah,
went to New Orleans one time and I like stumbled into Stanley and Stella's like diner from Streetcar Named Desire. Like they shot some of the scenes from the movie there.
from which movie? Sorry.
Streetcar Named Desire, the play and
Oh,
stuff.
I don't think I know actually. No.
Yeah, but I went in there and it was like some of the best breakfast I had, and I got like some of the T-shirts because they had like a T-shirt from
Ah,
the play and everything, and I got it for my like teacher back in high school because I'm like he taught me this, he would love this.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
But
that's
I
cool.
learned that their XL is actually a triple XL, which is really funny because they go up. So even though it says XL, it's actually way bigger, and I'm like, this is a blanket.
Yeah, it's a blanket. This honestly, that is a big thing when buying clothes and stuff like that over in the US compared to the UK. And then on top of that, the fashion is different, and so it tends to be bigger anyway. So there's like a double aspect to it. So I'm not used to wearing baggy like shirts and stuff like that, for example. So I yeah, I often find it's like okay, this like you say, a blanket is a really good expression. I really like that. That's not what I'm looking for.
I
Or
mean, you can
could
just say it. It's the Adam Sandler look here in the U.S., especially when you come to
oh
Seattle. It's the Adam
yes,
Sandler look.
yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's the Adam Sandler. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's
Oh my
very
god.
in right now for some reason. And you can also
Yeah.
say too, the UK has better like fashion. We already know it. We watch all the
Is it
shows.
actually better? Because I don't know. I just thought it's different, and I'm used to wearing more fitted stuff. I'm not used to wearing the baggy stuff, and I thought, oh, it's just a difference in styles. I don't know what is considered better,
I don't know.
but if you say
Seattle's
that
different.
UK one
We're
is
not really a fashion place. Like that's more New York. So like that would be a place to go against.
true, 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 to go against the
Seattle
grain.
just has a lot of jackets and like hoods. That's it.
Okay, okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. Mm.
Well, maybe we should get onto the show now because that was fun. And I really do want to talk to you about ice cream because like that's your big thing is Haagen Dazs, but I feel like we'd be here an hour just on that.
It's actually really funny because usually on other podcasts, I'm expected to have a tub of ice cream with me. So normally I would be having the ice cream whilst doing the thing. I wanted to have tea this time, and plus I wanted to kind of like show off one of my many Iron mugs. But yeah, that's usually what's expected.
I
Yeah.
mean, at Dragon Con on the in the lounge you were eating ice cream like in the dance lounge on the floor someone just came up and gave you ice cream and you were eating it and I'm like this isn't something I'm surprised by.
No, this is definitely a thing. It is my addiction. This is my curse. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man. No, this is like I've had this for years. There's a link to sweet dairy. I think I
Hmm.
like sweet dairy. I like milkshake. I like yogurt. I like hot chocolate. I like hot custard. I like that kind of thing. But ice cream just seems to be the pinnacle for me, and it has a number of effects. Like I'm generally really let me use a description that helps it warm. I mean, I'm usually very very warm, and it helps to cool me down,
Hmm.
and it literally has this immediate effect. I like the texture of it. I like the taste of it, and as it happens, I don't drink. So when people are going out for drinks or something like Dragon Con, it's like, well, this is my this is my chance. I'm going to get my ice cream. I'm going to make sure that I'm happy. So yeah, and the funny thing is, sometimes it catches on. I remember so our biggest cons, MCM London Comic Con,
Hmm.
um, and so after the con, we're all just kind of like hanging out or lobby con or whatever, and there were a couple of people who were just like, "Oh no, I'm coming with you to the shop to get ice cream. Like, I want my tub as well." And then it just kind of becomes a thing of either wanting to share mine or to just kind of like have their tubs, and so it's quite fun. So it was a thing. I think when more people knew who I was, like in 2018, a bit, the ice cream thing got noticed a lot, and so then people would start to post themselves eating ice cream, and then there was this hashtag Wakandan Dust. I was doing a lot of Black Panther cosplay that year, so Wakandan Dust is this hashtag. If you went to it, you'd see posts till today probably of people kind of doing that. And there was another one. There's Ugo and Ice Cream. There was one to do with Iron Man and Haagen-Dazs. I can't remember now, but yeah, it was just. Unfortunately, that died down, but people still know in person that that's what I like to have. Makes me happy.
We'll get a little cooler and we'll bring you some ice cream at Emerald City if you come back this year.
Oh my gosh, you don't know how it means.
I
It means a lot as well.
Well, I know we don't have the flavor that you like because the UK has better flavors, as you said.
Hmm, it's
But one of
true,
my
but
friends
still.
really wants to meet you because he's like obsessed. He's like, "Oh my god, you know Ugo?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like we're friends." And he's like, "No, you don't understand. Like I've looked up to him for so long in the cosplay community. Like he's
Oh,
the reason that got me into it." I'm like, "Oh, you should meet him at Emerald City." And he's like, "Okay," and I'll tell him to bring ice cream for you.
that's really sweet. That's incredibly sweet. I would definitely share an ice cream with him. It's a I when I go to cons in well actually not even just when I'm going overseas, even in the UK, I like to try and book like hotels or something that has a freezer or something so that I can actually store ice cream, because otherwise I have to buy it when I need it and then eat it all in one go, which is going to happen anyway. But at least storing it makes it easier. But yeah, no, I would absolutely love to. I am going to go to Emerald City next year. I decided I'm next year is a very it's going to be a very spendy kind of year. So I need to be really careful about where I go to. So I was trying to think of what I'm going to end up cutting out, but I feel like I can't miss Emerald City Comic Con. It's a home con for me now. It's like
Yeah, a
really.
lot of people are going to it this year. Like a lot of my friends from Florida have never like come out here are going to come to it because
Oh,
it's kind of like there's been a lot of issues with conventions out here lately, especially the past couple of months. And everyone's
oh,
like, "Well, at least we have Emerald City."
oh! What's like what's things that have been happening in other conventions or?
Yes, like just
Okay.
how the conventions run and like the
Okay.
people that are running it are not doing good practices and
I see.
they're ending up on the news because it's not good and there's like
Oh,
maybe
it's that.
lawsuits.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's that bad. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad I'm still sticking with Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah. I mean, I like it. It's fun. When
Yeah.
you come in though, we'll have to take you to two ice cream places. There's one up the street called Salt and Spoon. Really good ice cream. They
Okay.
do really random flavors.
Okay.
And then there's another one that I heard about that my friend loves that she takes me to because they have the best cookies, but they do cookies and ice cream, so they you can buy and put them together. And
Gotcha.
it's called Hello Robin, and apparently at certain stores you can get the stuff to take home,
Oh, okay. I was trying to
and it's
think
like
if
my
it's
favorite.
I can't remember which one it was, but Dylan and his wife May, Dylan and May,
Mhm.
they made in my first few Emerald Cities, they made it a point, and bless them, to make sure that they took me to ice cream places in Seattle. After I really wish I could remember the name of one of them, and they knew that. So I'm as much as I love ice cream, I'm so plain Jane in terms of
Mhm.
the flavors and stuff like that. Um, People tend to think that I might like a lot of kind of crazy flavors, and they're like, they send me a picture. It's like, look at this, doesn't this look amazing? I'm just kind of like, it looks okay. It looks cool if you like
I
that kind of
mean,
thing.
not like crazy, crazy, but like I don't know. One of the ones that I
Yeah,
loved that this place only did like monthly for the summer was strawberry lemonade or whatever, and it was my favorite. And I was like, oh,
yeah.
can I buy a pint of it? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, but you're never going to be able to get it again. And I'm like, I will eat it very slowly. But I watched X-Men Days of Future Past and it was gone.
Okay, exactly. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
underestimate how much you can consume. Like I will. I mean, one tub is about half a pint, and it's very easy. I have to, especially when it's warm. It is very easy to have one tub a day for me, winter or not.
Hmm.
When it's summer, goodness me, trying to stop myself from having two is really. I have to really think about it. So yeah, if it's presented to me, it's very easy for me to do so, especially at a con or where I've used a lot of energy and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Well, the best thing too about Emerald City is like right where Salt and Spoon is,
Mhm.
about two stores up, there is a anime bar, but it has chicken. Is like it's a restaurant.
There's
It's
an
called
anime
Taco.
bar.
Yeah, it's really good. It's called Taku. They do anime and they have stickers everywhere, and they do themed drinks.
You had my
It's
curiosity.
the fried chicken is really good.
I need to. No, you had me at anime bar with chicken. Like you already
Yeah,
had me right at the very beginning. I need to
it's
go to this
super
place.
salty. It's super salty, but like it's worth it.
Yeah,
And like
I
when
think
I went,
even
they
the
were playing like Naruto like 24/7, and I'm like, I haven't seen this episode in years. And then they were playing like One Piece last time I went, but the whole place is just coated. It's so good. It's like a little hidden gem. It's really small.
I need to go to this. We have we have a restaurant. It's relatively recent. It's maybe like 2 or 3 years old, maybe max. Called Uzumaki, which is not too far from where I work actually. Um, and the food is decent. Like I
Hmm.
particularly like the starter food. Their ramen leaves a lot to be desired, I think. Um, but the vibes of an anime restaurant cafe sort of thing is the walls are just plastered with all different kinds of anime. You can buy a lot of models at the front and things like that. The menu is like you could literally get a Sharingan, whatever drink, or like it's everything is themed, including the people serving. And I was just like, I kind of don't care if the food is not like, the best thing ever. It's like the vibes are great. So I want to know, but I want to go to this. I need to, in fact, I would say. So yeah. I need to know about this. I need to go.
Yeah, our area is like expanding with that kind of stuff. I just went to a sushi place that is all One Piece themed right now.
Ooh.
And like when you hit a certain amount of plates, you get like a gotcha toy, and it's like a One Piece themed.
Oh, does it have
So
to be sushi though? Because
that
a weird
one,
thing
well,
about me.
they have ramen too.
Okay,
They
cool,
have like
cool, yeah,
other stuff,
yeah.
but it's like a revolving sushi place. They're doing it for they did it last month and this month, and I think they'll be done.
Right.
But the first day that it opened with the One Piece theme, they had like a 10-hour wait that night.
Wow.
And they
Wow.
sold out of like all of their stuff that they were selling for One Piece. Because I went the next day and I was pissed. Because I was like, are you freaking kidding me? I wanted the cup. I just like wanted the water bottle that they did.
Yeah. Oh no, I can definitely imagine that. I mean, One Piece is one that I hadn't got into, but it's like the most popular one. To be honest, the first time I really got into anything One Piece was the live action
Hmm.
series. Uh, but yeah, so anything that's even vaguely themed like that, they're gonna sell out like immediately. Yeah, no, but you know you've learned your lesson now.
Yeah, I've learned my lesson. I'm like, okay, my friend and I should have stopped by there when we were close by the night before just to buy stuff, and then we could go back to eat the next day. But
Gotcha.
it was so much fun. And yeah, I always tell people to watch live action because a lot of people are very like nervous about One Piece. They're like, it seems like a really long commitment. I'm like, it's not when you think about it. It's just long because it hasn't ended, which
That's
is fine.
long. That's
It's long.
long.
Like right now, I'm watching it. I'm not caught up, and I've been in it since I think I started in middle school reading
Right.
it and watching it.
You do you know how endless pit that feels like? You said middle school and you're still not caught up. It
No, no,
feels
no,
like
no, no, no. Because I have an explanation. I have an explanation. I was not keeping up with it. I was like, I had
okay,
just gotten into manga like a year before, so
right,
I was just reading anything,
okay,
and I was just like reading and watching so much stuff. I when people ask me about stuff, I'm like, I've seen that. They're like, you have. I'm like, yes. That's why I'm not caught up on One Piece. I've like done all of this other stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Now I'm coming back to it. Like it's been 2 years that I've been back in One Piece, but
mm,
I'm not religious about watching it. Like right now, I
right,
actually switched to English so I could do
okay,
other stuff while I'm watching it, and I kind of hate
right.
myself. But I'm like, when it gets important, I'll switch back.
I I'm glad that you confessed to me. That I feel that I understand that. I'm glad that you have a confession. No, it's weird. I think I got into anime relatively late compared to a lot of people, I would say, which you wouldn't think from how much I'm into it. But Naruto was my first. Uh, Technically, I had watched an anime before, but I didn't know it was anime. But Naruto was my first, and then Bleach, and then Tengen Toppa and Lagann, and then then it went on. But because I felt that when it came to One Piece, I did try. I can't remember 12 or 14 episodes or something, and then I just kind of dropped off. But I felt I paid my taxes. I paid my taxes with Naruto and Bleach. I went through the whole year of filler for Naruto. And like every few weeks, it's like the expectation. Oh, I think it's going to end next week. This is the last one of the filler, and then we're going to go to it, and then it's not. I went through that whole turmoil for a whole year. By the way, that's what triggered me to first start reading manga. Like the first time I read manga was because of that. Because I told myself I'm not going to read the manga because I love encountering it for the first time in anime, and then after about halfway through the year of the Naruto fillers, it's like no, I gotta know. So then I started reading ahead, but it was so far ahead that it was still a nice surprise when when the anime finally caught up. But with that and Bleach, I was just like, oh, I can't do an endless one that hasn't even ended yet. But I was really glad for the live action one that gave me. In fact, I've been tempted to actually go into the anime and maybe jump at a particular point because people said that it covered a certain span of episodes that maybe I can jump to a certain point. So like I'm still considering that. Yeah.
There's a website called One Pace,
Hmm.
and it cuts down the episodes so you can just
Ah,
watch it
yeah.
because the only One Piece has like maybe a 2% filler,
Okay.
and
That
that's
makes it harder.
a whole hell of a lot less than Naruto and with Bleach because Bleach is
Yeah.
known, the anime is known for endless amounts of filler.
Mm.
That's why the manga is so much better and nobody
Yeah.
knows it because they don't read it for some reason.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with One Piece, the reason why the anime is so long is because it was like a weekly thing
Mm.
and they extended the fights.
Right.
So they go on longer. Like there's like a really small arc called Thriller
Mm.
Bark, which a lot of people listen to this will be like, oh god, yeah, we know.
Hmm.
It takes up maybe 2 volumes,
Right.
but it's like 100 or like 50 episodes. It's insane. It's like no, we can just get to the point here. So I always recommend One Pace. I have not used it. I'm past the point of using it
Yeah. Of
because it's
course.
too
Yeah.
late.
Cool.
I'd recommend it. It cuts down the fights, so you don't have to watch that long. You know what happens,
You know
and you
what's
get to the
interesting?
main part of it. And
I
then
want to.
there is the One Piece coming out, that animation.
I wanna note down the One Piece thing so I can go back to it. The uh, the interesting thing is like sometimes I appreciate when they expand on fights. Sometimes, like because
Yeah,
sometimes when you're reading it in the manga, sometimes it's not quite clear what's going on. Sometimes, especially it's usually not in color. And then sometimes the anime makes it clearer and they go into deeper, but only if that's what it's doing, expanding
it's
the
not.
fight, right? If it's
It's
just
not.
full of
It's just him
flashbacks and
bouncing around a room
explanations
sometimes.
and like,
It's just him bouncing around a room. And I'm like, I watched one and I was just like, the guy you're fighting took a break to eat donuts.
oh my
And he's just
goodness.
laying down eating donuts.
Oh no.
Why do I care?
Oh no. Oh no. That's
So,
not what I want.
but again, like they're doing the new animation coming out next year, I believe, called The One Piece. So it's
Mm.
supposed to condense and like cut out the extra fighting and stuff like that as well.
That would work.
Yeah.
That is what got me to finally watch Hagane no Renkinjutsushi. Um, finally got me to watch Hunter x Hunter because of the newer versions that they did with updated animation, cut it down to what it was. That got me because my friend, the guy who introduced me to anime and ruined my life, he did this in my final year at uni. By the way, so during finals, knowing that I will get addicted to this thing. But anyway, he was saying you should watch Hunter x Hunter. Like, he's like the stuff that you like in Naruto was kind of inspired by Hunter x Hunter. Like, you will see similar kind of concepts and yada yada yada. And I was like, okay. And then I saw the first few episodes, and it's just like, it's a kid who's learning to hunt, and the animation seemed really old, right?
Hmm.
And then when that Netflix one came out and it was redone, I gave it another chance, um, and the animation was good enough for me to see it through to where it gets really good, and then now I've declared it one of the best anime that exists. So it's.
But who knows? It might not ever finish. He might die before it ends, and it's awful. But he said so he's married to the author of Sailor Moon,
Oh no way! I had
and
no idea.
she's practiced to copy his art style, and he's told her the different endings.
Right.
So like if certain things happen to him, he wants her to end it a certain way.
Interesting.
So she said she'd finish it for him, but he doesn't work with any assistants. But he has really, really bad like back pain, so he's normally in the hospital.
I see.
So that's
I
why it takes so long. But it is a really good series. Like it was normally my comfort show, but then it
Yeah.
got to that newest arc, and I was like, "Oh, chimeras, okay, cool." And then I was like, I came out like haunted. I was like, I can't ever
Yes,
look at
yes.
an
It
ant again.
really it changes your life. That last arc actually
Yeah.
changes lives. It's really weird. The very first time I actually paused on that arc and then had a break before coming back to it, it was affecting me on a really, really deep level. And then when I rewatch it, it still has that effect. It's crazy. It's also I would say it's also a comfort show. It's something I can watch in the background,
Yeah.
and have so much fun with it. And I've accept the end. The end. I've accepted it, and you just reminded me of it. I had accepted that that's what it was, and now you reminded me of it. I'm just like, oh, I want more. I haven't
My
read the manga.
yeah. The
Um,
manga goes a slightly farther, but not much. Like people were really excited because we actually got one volume this year, I believe,
okay,
that came out, and they're like, ah, and it's
yeah,
like,
and then it's just that.
okay, yeah, but no, my friend is watching it for the first time, and she's saying how much she likes it and how much she loves it, and I'm like, cool, where are you? And she's like, oh, we're like doing this, like they're in the video game, and I'm like, that was nice, right?
It's playtime in the video
Yeah,
game.
it's fun. It's fun. It's
Yeah,
great. It's great. And then she got to like the
Chimera.
Phantom Troop or whatever, and I'm like, yeah,
Oh
that's great.
yes,
Like that's a good one. That's a great arc.
that's my
And
favorite.
now she's in the Chimera arc, and I'm like, I don't want to be
She's
near you when
questioning
you're watching it.
questioning
It
her life choices.
yeah, like I remember I questioned my choices. So I was like, oh, this is like a cute show. It's gonna be fine. Like the Phantom Troop was like a thing, but like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a little dark, but I really liked it. And we got into that one. And when the kids were eating, I was like, oh
I
no,
just,
this is different. This is something else. I
mm,
think I watched the wrong show at first.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I wasn't sure what to think of it at the time, and then it's like something that is really dark, but you can't help but want to dig in further into it. It's like you can't help yourself, even though it's off-putting. It's off-putting as well as drawing you in. It's a weird. I mean, even when you think you've got to the end and you're just like, okay, we're good now, and then at the point when you start to see the characters, the people who are eaten, seeing their characters in some of the camera, that then hits another way. I just like, oh my gosh,
I
you're
still
that
remember
person.
like crying my eyes out every time I saw Kite. I was like, I'm done. I needed to walk out. I like cried my I was just bawled. I was just like, I
It's
can't do this. I'm like, I loved him. I'm out. I
devastating,
can't. Yeah.
devastating. It's
Still devastating when it like gets to that conclusion of what
yeah,
happened to him and
yeah,
then like how his ending happened and you're
yeah.
like,
It
I don't
still
know how
affects.
I feel.
Yeah, yeah, because it's not made it nice and perfect for you, but it's also not as bad as it completely being what you thought it was before. Like it's what if an anime can get that deep, then for me that makes it awesome. And it's just like if it makes me think about it for so long, then that has to be amazing. Right?
Yeah,
No,
Lola kind of
I
scarred me
really
for
enjoyed
life
it.
at Emerald City when she did that cosplay. I was like,
Say
I
again.
can't. When Lola did that cosplay at Emerald City,
Wait, which cosplay? Sorry.
the one that her Kite and she had like the head.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Oh, when Lola. Oh, sorry. You said when Lola did. Yeah.
Lola.
She she was so proud of it as well. I'm just like,
It's
why
really
do you like
good.
doing this to us? Like, it's so
Yeah,
good.
it is really
Why would
good.
you
But I
do
was
this
just
to us?
like, I don't want to talk about this trauma. This was a dark period in my life.
Yeah, she's forcing it back into your lives. It's just like, hey, look.
Look at this, and I'm
It
like,
is amazing.
oh no.
I
Okay.
need to cosplay from that thing again. I did Kurapika once. Dragon Con last year did Kurapika. Not for too long, and there weren't many people. I just teamed up with one person. I didn't see many people doing it, but I was having fun doing it. They, I don't know. My favorite character, because that Phantom Troop arc, just it's just like the writing leading up to that was just so amazing. And if I start going on about why, then we'll just be here for ages. But I love it. I
We'll talk
absolutely love
about
it.
Hunter x Hunter another time because like
Yeah,
that would
yeah,
be a lot of fun, and I know Rachel would love to talk about it. She's dying to like cosplay the characters, and I'm like, don't buy anything because they have
yeah.
new figures out of the characters right now, and it has
Right.
like Gohan and Killua like doing a fist punch sitting, and it's really cute. And I'm like,
Oh,
stop
nice.
it! I'm like, don't ruin your Christmas gift, please stop, please.
Don't buy things I want to buy for
Yeah.
you.
I'm like, it's already done. Like, don't. It's sitting somewhere. We're good. But let's get into the main part of the episode.
Can't stop a
So
fan.
guys, this is Devious Dumplings. I'm here with Ugo Cosplay, as many of you might know.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. So Ugo, can you tell us a little bit about you and you know how you got started in cosplay and stuff?
Ooh, well, so I am a cosplayer from the UK. I guess always have two answers for kind of
Hmm.
how I got into it. There's when it was just a fleeting thing, like going to a Comic Con once, maybe twice in a year, and that's been for like 10 years, just about. But when it became, if you like, a full time hobby,
Hmm.
was 7 years ago, 2017. And that's also when I created an Instagram. It's when I actually started connecting with people in the cosplay community. It was the first time I stayed in a hotel when I'm going to a Comic Con, so that I can actually hang with people and stuff. And then that's when my life was over. It just escalated. Just cosplay just escalated. But yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I've just been a nerd all my life. Um, I I went through school at a time where it wasn't cool, enjoying the stuff and whatnot. And I just kept enjoying it. And by the time I found out this thing called cosplay, it was just kind of a natural progression into doing it, and then I would be creatively challenged by the amazing talents that I would see around me, and I'd just be like, oh my gosh, that must be so cool. Like, so this, like, it kind of released limiters, so to speak. It's like
Mhm.
there's more that we can do. Like, look at what people are doing. There's more that we can do. Like, let's try it out. So yeah, and here we are.
And so, what do you do for work in your like outside of cosplay? Like, what your real time stuff
My
is?
my Clark Kent life.
Yeah.
So I'm a software developer by trade, a coder, programmer, software engineer, different titles for the same thing. And at the moment, I'm actually a director of engineering at the company that I work for. Um, and yeah, I've been in this business for 19 years, commercially anyway. I've been coding since I was 11. Yeah, that's just been it's been nice. It's been very clear to me what I want, the stuff I was good at, and the things that I wanted to do. So yeah. So my other life is extremely busy, and somehow the this life has also become extremely busy as well. So um, yeah, each year it's a case of trying to cut things out and what to leave in, what to cut out. But, yeah.
Well, I mean, I can kind of tell you're busy every time you're at a con and you're not on the show floor yet. You're still in the hotel room building.
Oh yes. It's been a part of it is a personality thing, an ADHD thing, and part of it is just what I prioritized and not. So I try to remember that the only thing that is paying for me to have any of these adventures is my work or my day job. So everything has to come afterwards. Um, so a lot of the time I'll have plans to build something or whatnot. I love building sort of armor and whatnot, but I either will deprioritize it, and then if I do have time to work on it, then it's probably time that my brain wants to actually rest. And I started noticing it about a couple of years ago. I started interrogating myself when I procrastinate to find out what it is. Sometimes I might just be hungry. I might just be tired. I might just be, And I noticed that a lot of the time it's just been overstimulated from other things I've had to do, and I'm trying to push it into doing this other thing, and so that I can cut myself a bit of a break, and just say like, you know what, you're gonna have to do it last minute, and if it doesn't work out, so be it. At least rest in the kind of in the knowledge that I prioritize the right thing. But something doesn't switch off sometimes. Like I really want to get this thing done, and so I'll tend to bring all my tools. It's like there's a way that this can work. I'll bring all my tools, spare foam to the hotel, and then I'll be trying to do it until trying to build it until the time comes, and every time that it works, it just validates it, which is even worse. It's validating procrastination.
I mean, I can't judge you. I also wait a long time.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing I have a my last big convention coming up, and my friends and I are there's 3 days. We want to do 3 cosplays, and then there's like an after thing that we want to do,
Hmm.
like a cabaret show or something. And like right now, I'm like, okay, I can do the cabaret thing. I have no idea what I'm doing for 2 of the days at the con, but one of them I do know what I'm doing, and it's going to be
Right.
my like biggest cosplay yet. Have I
Right.
started? No. And then because I'm trying to fit it in my normal daily routine and like
Yes.
do stuff,
Yeah.
but I
Not
also
to
booked
mention
my
this
entire
podcast that you
October
do.
weekend. What?
Yeah. Not to mention
Yeah.
this podcast that you do.
Yeah, I've been like setting it up on the weekends to do as well. So I'm
Mm.
like, I have this, I have like another episode later today, and I have like a meeting and stuff. And I'm like, I'm an idiot. I can't work unless I have too much on my plate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real problem. The I don't know if ADHD is something that connects with you as well. Like the need for certain triggers for me to go into hyper focus mode is really annoying sometimes. Uh, one of my motivators in the last, I would say, decade, I've been kind of really interested in the topic of how to hack your motivation. That's been
Hmm.
a big thing for me, and so um, I've been doing this kind of self therapy thing. I realize it as it now. I didn't. That wasn't the intention before. It's just as I talk to people, it turns out that's the kind of thing that I've been doing. And so, as people seem to, I guess, get something from it as well. So I started trying to share some of the things that I've learned from a motivational kind of perspective, and how to hack it. So knowing the fact that the pressure is one of the things that motivates me to do it, and so I might not start early enough. I then have to artificially try to create that pressure at a time that makes my life not too hard. And I think it's taken a while, but I think I might be getting somewhere.
Maybe next year we'll see it.
Maybe next year we'll see it.
Yeah.
I had the first big boon, and this was a big thing for me, and it's like, and if I say it, it will seem, for a lot of people, it seem like, yeah, so, but it was a big thing for me that before Dragon Con, because I actually went for two cons in the States. There was Power Morphicon in Pasadena, and then Dragon Con in Atlanta, and I had a lot to pack. I had three of them were going to be armor, and 9 other regular clothes cosplays. I pack last minute without fail all the time. Either the night before is probably the earliest I packed. On the day is usually when it happens. But this time, as a result of some of the systems I've been trying, I had packed most of it 6 days before the trip, which is for me a massive thing. It was a mind-blowing moment for me, because I know that I've just not been able to make myself do it. So I'm going to experiment with some of the techniques over the next few months and see if it helps helps even more. But yeah, it's a hard thing. It's a life thing, right?
No, I'm impressed because like I wait till the night before to pack, and then I'm like, oh shit, what did I forget?
Yes, exactly. Every single time. And there's always something whilst I'm on the plane that I realize, oh crap, there was this, wasn't there? There was that. And so I experienced for the first time having 5 days to be like, I should Amazon Prime this thing because I couldn't find that when I was packing it. I'm just going to keep my eyes out for this and that and the other. Or I'll pack this as an alternative because I couldn't find that. I've never had that luxury before. And I'm hoping that the feedback of that feeling motivates me to try it again and stuff like that. But yeah, seeing how it works. It's really hard. I literally just will not do that without the pressure. Competition, novelty, or time pressure. Like those are the things, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Whenever I'm bored at work, I like work on my like calendar and my schedule because I love having tasks to do and I love lists. And I'm
Yes.
such a list person. Like I have like a list right here.
Right,
So
right.
I like to go down it. So I'm just like, okay, so I'm bored on this. Let me work on this since I have time, and hopefully I'll be ready for like November.
Uh-huh. Using every moment like to try and be as productive as possible, right? I literally my life are on these lists. I use Trello to put all my lists, and my life is in there. Without it, I'd literally be done. I would actually be done. Everything is on there. Something that, I mean, we were just talking about the One Pace thing. I had to put it on there. Otherwise, we're never talking about this again. You're going to remind me and be like, oh yeah, that was a thing. Like, it's just,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. I mean, I have my notes app on my phone. I have like 100 different things from like years ago, but I don't want to get rid of it because I don't know
Yeah.
where it's going to go right now.
Yes, exactly.
I just like
Yeah.
to be really organized, and then I try to follow stuff. Last weekend, I like got the flu, but I did 2 episodes of the podcast
Nice.
still because I was just like, I'm gonna hold myself up with water and see what happens.
How did that go?
It was the beginning of the flu, so then
Okay.
when I got done, I like passed out, and then I was really sick. So I'm better now. I have like a little bit of a cold, but I'm fine.
Okay.
But
So you managed to get either side of sort of either side of the flu
a
feeling.
little bit, yeah. I got like everything. I got like a little vertigo mixed in there too, and I was like, this
Oh
sucks. Like, can I
man.
be done?
Oh, sorry about that.
No, it's
What
fine.
did it
Like
cost? Everything.
it costs a lot. I was
Yeah.
like, I don't think I left my bed the first day, and I was just like, I can't do anything. I'm like, I don't even want to watch something. And I think
Yeah.
I put The Simpsons on like the dimmest like light and sound as
Yes.
possible.
Hmm.
Or I watched Emily in Paris, which I was like, I hated myself for watching it because I was just like,
That's when you know.
Yeah, it's when you know you're very sick.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
something wrong.
You
Because I'm
don't
like,
care
that's
what.
kind of like, it's kind of like trash TV because it's like not good,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's okay. And I have like a problem with Lily Collins' eyebrows. Like it's just like a feud I have.
Right.
They're just huge. They're too big
Yes.
for her face. I don't know why she doesn't do anything.
Wait, why who doesn't do anything?
Lily Collins, she's like an
Oh.
actor. She's like these huge eyebrows, and I'm like, they don't work for you.
That's the
And
thing
that's
that's
all I
bugging
could
you the
focus
most. I
on.
love
Yeah,
it. Nah,
but let's.
it sounds very
Let,
COVID-y almost, like the kind
I,
of thing knocking you out. I mean, like just yeah, um, that's what
I
COVID did
was
a long
I
time
was
ago.
due for it. I hadn't gotten sick since I had like the plague, pretty much with like a Viv and her whole entire household in January when we went to a convention and we all
Oh
got
wait,
sick
oh
on
crap,
like night one.
oh wow, night
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So we went to a con and there was actually like a blizzard
Hmm.
that happened, and it was like maybe 20 minutes away from our house. We all got back. No one was doing well. They were mad at me because I didn't bring a jacket or any snow stuff, but I was like, I didn't think it was gonna snow.
Yeah, yeah.
It was February, I think, or like end of January, beginning of February, and I was like, no, we're good. And then we woke up and it was just white, and I ended up, I think I had like jeans on and like some heels, and then I like had a sweatshirt. So I just like packed up my car and I drove home, and I've never driven in the snow before, like especially with
Oh,
my car
right,
as it was, because like my last car I kind of drove in the snow, but I've not had good experience. I one time like crashed my dad's car in the snow, but it was fine
right,
because
right.
like it was a Hummer, so like nothing can hurt a Hummer
Okay, yeah,
unless
yeah.
it's a tank.
You're just
But
hurting everyone else. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. But like
yeah.
nobody else was like no one else got hurt. I hit like a guardrail and I like the car just got hooked on it, so I had to pull it off. But it was fine.
Damn,
Like the car was fine, the guardrail was not fine. No one was hurt.
that's an adventure.
Yeah,
That
because
is
the
an
car like
adventure and a
spun around, and my dad didn't want to take me to work. He was like, "No, you're fine. Just go slow, I guess." And I'm like, "You've never taught me this."
half.
But
Yeah.
driving the 3 hours from Portland back to like Seattle, in a Mini Cooper in the snow, I had like a death grip, and I had the heat on like high,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was just like, just don't stop. Like you can drive as slow as possible, just don't
Mhm.
stop, just
That's
keep
right.
going.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, don't change lanes, don't care about
No,
anybody else.
no.
But there were so many accidents and so many people pulling over, and I'm like, if I pull over, I'm gonna like freeze to death. There's no blanket in this car. I am cold.
But you still ended up really sick.
Yeah, because like I got it from them, and when I got
Yeah.
home, like I was freezing, but it was
Mhm,
like there was no snow here. But like the next night, I'd come out to like to this area, this
mhm,
office,
mhm,
to look at a book. I'm like, thank God I looked at this book like at 10 o'clock at night. Like I needed it for some reason.
mhm.
The pipe had frozen and burst in here, and it was like flooded.
Crap.
So I spent from 10 p.m. till like 6 a.m. the next day in
No.
here
And so,
evacuating everything, like because I have my books, so I'm like,
oh
they're
my.
getting out. I'm saving them, and then I
Yeah,
was like,
yeah. Oh,
saving these things behind me because it was like leaking down the wall, and I'm like, I'm not letting them get ruined. I'm gonna be the great person and save this, even though it's not mine.
house house issues like that, unexpected ones, are so stressful.
Yeah,
So stressful. Financially, your energy, everything. Like I can't. I had a few of those this year as well, and it just completely distract. I mean, I didn't have heating for a long time over winter. My heating got fixed just in time for spring. Yeah, good timing.
yeah.
But yeah, it's nah. I'm sorry about that. That sounds terrible.
It's fine. Like
Mm,
I'm okay. Everything's okay. Like uh, the insurance paid for new furniture, and that's great.
yeah.
The only thing that was really sad was I lost like my favorite bookcases, like
Oh,
all of
okay.
them, because the
Oh,
bottoms like sucked up
yeah.
all of the water.
Hmm.
And I was told like three of them I really liked, and I lost them, so like that sucked
Hmm.
because you can't find good quality bookcases anymore, especially big ones. So I got these other ones, and they
Right.
are shit for manga. Like they do not hold anything, and if I can fit like 80 volumes on something, I'm like, that's okay. I guess that's fine. That's not what I wanted. I wanted bigger.
Right.
But one day, and then I'll burn IKEA to the ground as well because those are their bookcases.
You'll get
I
the
was
ones that you
lied
want.
to.
You'll get the
Yeah.
ones.
Well, I thought they were bigger, and then
Mm.
everyone's like, no, I actually there's no, and I'm like, you lied. All of you lied. I built like one of them, and I'm like, this is shit. And
This
I
is
just
not
left it on the
what you
ground. I'm like,
wanted.
I'm not doing this.
Not what you signed up for.
No, but no, I get that, like all of the stuff. But let's talk about Iron Man because this is what you want to talk
Ah,
about. You have
yes.
the shirt, you have the cup. Let's talk about Iron Man.
Go
I
for
can
it.
talk about Iron Man because like I can talk a little bit about the comic books, but I can mostly talk about the cinematic universe.
Hmm. Which is
So
great.
yeah, I'll let you start. What do you want to talk about for Iron
Me.
Man, or do you
Man.
want to talk about the actor himself coming back?
Uh,
I know that
no,
says it all.
it's,
Okay, the podcast
you
is
know
over.
what?
We're done.
No, that gives it gives a bias as to what my actual thoughts are. I've been so I've been a massive fan of Iron Man for so many years for a few reasons. I tend to really like the characters that I connect with in some way. Um, when I was a kid, my favorite superhero was Superman. Right, it
Hmm.
was the very first superhero feature that I ever saw. It was magical to me. It was great, like just like hopeful thing. Like it was Superman was it. And when I was drawing, if I'm making up superheroes, it will always be based on it. It will be someone with a cape. It will be someone with some kind of insignia, etc., etc. Um, when I was kind of a young adult, like a teenager kind of thing, to young adult, then Spider-Man was my favorite because I was relating to the fictional stories that they wrote for him, trying to deal with life and whatever. And yes, you want to be heroic and stuff like that, but things hit you, and the Parker luck kind of everyone has in one way or another. Um, then when I entered kind of from young adult to adult kind of life, I stumbled upon. Well, I knew about Iron Man already before, but I found myself gravitating towards him more because it was related to what I do. He is a tech guy. He's trying to do that life as well as being an armored superhero, and not just that. Everything is based on what he builds. It's his intelligence and his mind. I really respected that. Um, but the other thing was he he always seemed to make a lot of mistakes, but they always were born from good intentions.
Hmm.
And I think the reality of life made me gravitate even more towards it. It's like you want the best, you want to try to do the best thing, but you're also human, and you fall into, so it's like for him it was alcoholism, for someone else it's going to be something else, and each time he wants to do the right thing, and then uh, the guilt of the wrong things also fuel him to try and do that. Like I loved all of that. So it was both the personality kind of thing. Oh, the other side of it was that um, even though I was a techie, I was a coder. Um, for a lot of people, it's not what they would expect at first. Like, as in, I could talk to people, and a lot of coding and stuff like that would have issues in either communication or yeah, just being able to kind of socialize sometimes. Interestingly enough, I really like chilling by myself,
Hmm.
but but I am able to do the socializing thing, and so that was another aspect of him that I kind of related to. So I went all in on Stark. I was reading the comics, the cartoons and stuff, and then I just found that the MCU's Iron Man was portraying him so well. It literally brought it all to life, and so I was all over it. But yeah, so people know this about me and they expect it. And once it was what motivated me to learn to build in the first place. So my very first build was an Iron Man build, and then I just kept iterating and trying to improve. That was my motivating factor, and wanting to do certain videos and photos and stuff like that. Bringing back bringing back Robert Downey Jr. thing, people are like, "Oh man, what do you think? What do you think?" And I ended up doing a video on YouTube about it actually, not with anyone. It was just me, kind of a monologue after I'd organized my thoughts. And my first my first feeling, I realized it wasn't. I was trying to think, am I disappointed? Is this really sad for me? And I realized, oh no, what it is I have such a deep connection to Tony Stark, such a deep connection to it. I have been hoping in some way or another we're going to see him back. And this felt, I don't know how much of a family thing this podcast is, but
It's fine. You can say whatever.
it was okay. It's kind of the equivalent of a cock tease, right? So it's like we're not giving you Tony Stark, but we're giving you Robert Downey Jr. And it was this kind of in between, and I think that is what I was reacting to at first. And then I did what I would normally do, and so it's like, okay, wait, let me just think of it objectively and just put my emotions down for now. Um, and when I thought of it objectively, um, I personally might have made a different choice, but I understood all the reasons why it's a good idea having Robert Downey Jr. back. It can be excellent, and I basically listed in that video several reasons why it can be good. Um, I'm generally like to look in that kind of direction. What can make something work? Then there's going to be crap anyway. That's my nature. But I would still generally be objective if I think something's not going to work, and I think it can work. And because of certain things that Marvel have been hit with that they had no control over. Um, Things, the Jonathan Majors thing was the biggest one, and having to change. And the other, I would say, is Bob Chapek, the previous CEO of Disney. Um, those things and those going away meant that they had to repivot and look at the story and redo it, but they still have a timetable to stick to. And whereas we had years of building up Thanos, we don't have that time. It needs to be someone that you have some kind of connection with in terms of the villain for it to actually have an effect. Introducing a new character at this point, and then in a year or so, being like, oh, here's Doomsday kind of thing, it's not going to have the same kind of effect.
Hmm.
And this is talking the general audience. People in the comic book land might be quite happy. It's like, yeah, we're seeing Doctor Victor Von Doom because we know the comics, but they're having to appeal to a wide range of people. And the general moviegoer will be like, oh my gosh, isn't that this guy? And so seeing him being evil will have more of an effect than the others. So, and the other thing is that they fulfilled the second of my three wishes, which is bringing the Russos back. Um, I had three kind of genie in the lamp wishes for Marvel. One was to make Charlie Cox's Daredevil canon and to bring him in, and they did that in Far From Home, and I was sorry in No Way Home, and I was so happy. And then they gave me a bonus. They brought back Vincent as well. So it's just like Daredevil is one of my favorite series of all time, regardless of genre. Like truly. So I was glad. My second one was bringing back the Russos to do Secret Wars. I thought that's not going to get fulfilled, and then it did. And so that's two of my wishes. My third wish is somehow either make Agents of Shield canon or bring those characters for another feature like Secret Wars or something like that. If they did that, I would just love Marvel forever. I don't know. So yeah, so those are my three wishes. So since they brought back the Russos, who have done essentially, for me, objectively the most successful MCU movies, the four most successful MCU movies that we have, um, and then I feel like they'll be able to handle it, and I should trust what they have for it. There's no way that they would be like, okay, let's get Robert Downey Jr. and they don't have a plan. And I feel
Hmm.
also there's no way that RDJ would agree to it without it being a plan that makes him look good. If there's no actual plan, it's going to be like, no, you know what? I like the way that people look at me at the moment as being like the best ever or whatever. So, yeah. So I think that there's something there, and so that's the way I'm looking at it now. So my reaction was more remembering how I felt
Hmm.
the very first time I heard the news. Yeah, yeah. That's just Doom. However they're going to do it, um, they just gotta. I mean, the Russos are good at taking really classic stories from the comics, taking the important elements and transferring them to the world that we know in the MCU. Because you can't just have what's in the comics and cartoons as it is. It wouldn't work that way. They've established a particular universe, and a big example is Civil War. Civil War is one of my favorite. Is my favorite MCU movie, individual movie, as in non-Avengers movie. Um, but before Civil War came out, there were again so many doubts, because everyone's remembering the excellent crossover in the comics. It's like, how can you have Civil War when there are no secret identities anywhere? What would be the point in a superhero registration act without any secret identities? There are not even that many heroes that we know of. I know that there are, Agents of Shield introduced in Humans here and there. There's probably like one or two, people like Luke Cage and whatever. Like, there are people lurking here and there, but there's not that many. So how can you have something as grand as Civil War? It can't work. What the Russos did was take the things that were important from there and then use what's happened in the MCU to translate them. So instead of a superhero registration act, they take the Sokovia Accords and have it based on a different inciting incident rather than the school being blown up because of the stuff that's going on. They're just trying to help, and Wanda accidentally causing that explosion. They look at things that have happened in the MCU as catalysts as well. So they were able to use that. Having someone switching sides, it's like, okay, it doesn't have to be Spider-Man and all this stuff. Let's take Black Panther and let's have him have a stake in it. His father gets killed and stuff like that. They translated the important things from the comic book story into that. So this is another reason why I have faith that they'll make it relevant. So yeah, it's fine. I would still like some. I would love to see another variation of Iron Man somewhere. At least in Secret Wars, I would love to see a superior Iron Man, for example. That I would really love to see, but see what happens.
I've always liked Robert Downey Jr. as like the character because, like, again, I was in high school when that movie came out. But it was something my dad and I can see because of the music and stuff, and he was really into that. Right. And Iron Man's a character that has flaws. Like, that's why I like the MCU better than DC, because they are human. You can tell how human they are. They have flaws. They mess up. They do the same things that you would do. That's right. And his movies are the best. I always think it's really fun that he got to just wear his own clothes onto set because it just matched the character because he is the character. And he would just eat and do whatever. And they were just like, okay, we'll put that in the movie. Yeah. To this day, I can still quote almost every line from The Avengers, the first one, because it's one of my favorite movies. And then my other favorite movie is the first Russo movie that they did for Marvel, which was Captain America Winter Soldier. I love that movie. I made a reference about pushing someone off a building, and I'm like, no, that's not what I would do. But she'll do it. Yeah. And
I love that.
Yeah, so it's still one of my ultimate like favorite movies, and I was a huge fan of Marvel. It did fall off after Infinity War and Endgame. Unfortunately, like, I thought Endgame, there was some stuff that I did not agree with. Okay. Like Black Widow dying, I don't get that. In the comic books, right? She can go so much farther. Oh, no, Endgame, yeah, sorry, yeah. But like she can go so much farther. Like, they could do so much more with her, especially with Bucky in the series. Because they never talked about that. And it's like, they mentioned it once, but I want more. Like, I'm curious about this. And then I didn't like Steve going back in time. Yeah. But But no, Civil War was done so well, especially the relationship between Captain America and Iron Man. And you have to think about it. You're like, should heroes be told what to do, or are they allowed to act on their own? Exactly. Because again, because it's just like they said, like, what if someone needs help, but we can't get the clearance? Like, we have to wait for the government issue. Yeah. What if we don't agree with this? Yeah.
It was grounded. It was real. It was a real. I love, in general, with any, whether it's superheroes or not. I love movies, TV shows that bring certain elements of humanity that are to do with empathy, and that is. It's the thing of no one good is all good. No one bad is all bad. People act on motivations. People have their motivations for the things that they do. For me, it's why things like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad were so successful. It's about, you might have a certain view of someone, and when you find out more about them and where they're coming from, you find yourself liking someone who you shouldn't like in some way. Or someone who is supposedly good, you end up being really disappointed with them, but again, they're also human. So I always like things presenting that. So Civil War shows a situation where there is no right answer. There really isn't a right answer, and they have their reasons for Cap and Tony Stark have their reasons for the direction that they're going in, and they presented that beautifully, and I absolutely love that. So yeah, I agree. Civil War is my out and out favorite for a number of reasons that they managed to put. I don't know how they managed to put that together. They had my favorite, all my favorite characters in there. Iron Man, Spidey, Black Panther. They managed to introduce Spider-Man without it being crap. They basically, any other movie doing this, it would have just looked like, oh, you just stuck in this character just because you can. They made it relevant. They made it fun. Black Panther, it's a risk to introduce him in another movie or not his own movie. Again, they did it so well, so seamlessly. The tone of the movie was great. For me, it's there are very, since Iron Man 1, there's been a potential for the character that I see in the comics. I haven't seen it as much as in Iron Man 1, and the next time I saw it was in Civil War. Like, where you see a balance between his humorous side and his serious side. Like, Tony Stark he's a businessman, he's a really serious person, and he uses his humor, but he's not all about humor. Now,
Hmm.
I'm a ride or die with Iron Man 2, but I definitely would agree with people who say like, oh, it's mostly like there's a lot of humor and it's something like, yeah, absolutely, but I still love it. So I'm ride or die. But it's the Tony Stark character that I really love, or I love reading about. The Russos get it, and they got it there. They got it in Infinity War. They got it in Endgame, where it's like there is more to him than just I just tell jokes. So yeah, so I really loved it. I think the you have. I know that there's a whole load of fans that I know who didn't like what happened with Romanoff in Endgame and stuff, and I totally get it. And you know, if my favorite character or just the character that I really love was killed off like that, I would feel the same way. And I think the impact of it is probably what they were going for because of that, because you knew that they had more to give, there was more potential. She'd literally just become the leader of the Avengers at that point, or not just during that 5 years. Like she was basically the leader of the event, and you know we didn't get to see that through. There was so much more they could give, and even with Tony Stark, me as a fan of Tony Stark, there are innumerable storylines and situations and things that I really want to see. I'm just like, we're never going to get to see it. And
Yeah.
Illuminati, a true blue Illuminati with Tony Stark right there. The like I said, I love the whole morally grey, like there's not a real right answer thing. And the Illuminati stories for me are my favorite. That's my favorite group. It's my favorite Marvel group because they were facing that every single time. They were making decisions that if the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, the Wakandas knew, they'll be ousted. And they're doing, and I love that. I love that. The pressure of like, well, we owe it to the world to do this. They won't accept it, but we need to do this. And we're never going to see that.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things. And there were so many others. This was actually one of the points that that I had for the idea of having Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, because the Russos, in their attempt to try to get certain elements from the comic books, even if it's not translated exactly, but taking the principles of it, or some of the fan moments, is we're never going to see Tony Stark and Reed Richards working together. That's another big thing that I've loved in the comics and cartoons, and because they've killed him off in Endgame, we're never going to see it. But they could give us another version of this in showing Doom, Victor Von Doom working with Reed Richards and things like that. They could allude to it a lot before it goes, they go their separate ways. We know that Tony Stark is very much him in his futurist ways. He will go to the extreme to try and protect everyone. His motivation will be protection. A shield, a suit of armor around the world. That's the thing that, his mistakes cost making Ultron, for example.
Hmm.
If someone saw a Galactus level thing and then reacted to it in a Tony Stark way, it could get really out of hand. I need to be able to understand cosmic energy, harness that kind of thing, magic, whatever it happens to be, and they could go in a very extreme direction. And those are one of the things that I thought is a possible kind of direction. So they can give us a lot of things that we miss, whilst it being a different character and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just potentials. But yeah, I miss Romanoff. I miss him. I miss the originals. I understand why Phase Four was not as as good as it should have been, and those responsible are no longer there, thank goodness. And so I'm in the position of I'm now just going to enjoy what they have to give me,
Hmm.
because now that they've got rid of it's Bob Chapek, now that they've got rid of him, and so they've got rid of the mandates that forced them to have to ship things into Disney Plus at such a rate. And they finally given creative control back to Feige, which he took away from him. So now they've had a chance to look at everything and rejig. It's like, okay, we're going to go in another direction. So I just want to see what it is, and I'm trying to stay away from trailers, except for like first trailers, and just like I just want to see it. And so far, I'm enjoying. Like Deadpool and Wolverine did really well with that. They put in trailers and what they used to do before, where as something is coming out, then they'll show trailers for the next thing to get you excited. And I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts. Looking forward to Cap. Agatha is great so far. So yeah, I'm just here for it. Looking forward to see what they do, and I'm curious as to how they're gonna. It's gonna be big because everyone's gonna be curious. How are they gonna make this work? Like you can imagine, like day one, everyone's gonna be like, I want to see this RDJ Doom thing, even if it's to see if it fails. Like they just want to know. So yeah, I think that'll be good.
But I get what you mean. Like, I was kind of thinking like Romanoff, not on like I wanted to see all this stuff. I just thought I'm like, for a standpoint of like marketing and like making more money for Disney, I was like,
Mm,
you kind of shot yourself in the foot
yeah,
there. But
yeah,
maybe we'll see something later. Um, but I love Secret Wars because like when I read the comic books, there's all the different worlds. There's all the different parallel universes and stuff.
yeah.
Like I saw Peter Quill as a nightclub singer singing Disney because they didn't have Disney in that world, and it was at Drax's nightclub, and Drax had hair. I was
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah,
this is hilarious. I love it.
yeah.
Um, but one of the things that made me like all right with everything was the animated series that Disney Plus does. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it has like the Watcher, and
Oh,
he's
what
overlooking
if?
all the different what?
What if? What if?
Yeah, what if? What if
Yeah.
is my favorite. That is I
Ah,
season
interesting.
one is I love it. I thought it was really good. I like that they get the actors to do some of the voices for their own
Yeah,
characters sometimes.
yeah,
But what if, T'Challa was Star Lord?
yeah.
The whole universe, everything would be saved. Every parallel universe
Yeah.
would be saved if he was. And I
I
know that
enjoyed
they
that one. I really enjoyed it. I like being to like being honest. I was a bit down on What If in general, because I found that I didn't find that I enjoyed all the episodes. Like there
yeah.
were some of them. So the ones that stuck out for me, I I think I was expecting them to go a bit more wild in their directions, and it seemed like it felt like there was a restriction of the MCU, and they got to make it fit. Like, what if this one thing changed? How does everything else kind of change? Um, and then certain things wouldn't make as much sense because of that straitjacket. Without the
Mhm.
straitjacket, they can go wherever they want. But the ones that stuck out for me was the T'Challa one. I loved, and that had an even bigger impact, because of his passing. Um, I loved the Doctor Strange one. The Doctor Strange individual one, I really love where because I found that they followed things to its natural conclusion.
Mhm.
They didn't quote unquote Disneyfy it. They didn't like, oh, everything turns out his character is his character, his motivation is motivation, and the end result is where it was. And then the two finales, including the Natasha's world, the apocalyptic world, and Natasha can go
Mhm.
back. I love those. So I guess those ones that were more kind of grounded and they weren't as restricted by the MCU. I really loved
Mhm.
those. And I think season two was decent. It was actually pretty decent as well. There was more that they could have done
Yeah.
with
I
season
liked
two.
season 1 a lot better, but I'm excited to see the last season, season 3, and like what they'll do.
Same.
But yeah, season 1, I love the T'Challa episode. I love that he did his own voice, and I know that they'd come out later after everything had happened, and they're like, we
Yeah.
actually were working on a script for him to actually do this real time, like in real
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
but we couldn't tell him about it because it was so under wraps, and then he
Mm.
passed, and like that was heartbreaking. But the zombie episodes terrified me. It was really hard to watch since I am terrified of zombies.
Interesting.
It's
I didn't. I have a complicated relationship with zombie movies, with zombie related stuff, and it's so me and one of my really good friends, Paul. He loves zombie stuff, and he loved the zombie episode. So I think we did a podcast thing. We had a really interesting discussion around it. Now, for me, zombie stuff are so predictable and so done. They've been done and done and done and done, and I'm sort of tired of it unless you give me something that to spark my excitement
mhm.
or explore a thing. So, for example, one I really enjoyed was, which I didn't expect to, was World War Z, because they finally addressed something which I kept going on, like it annoyed me about previous ones, like why do zombies not go against other zombies? Like, what is the thing? They approach it in a scientific manner that explains some of those things. It's like, okay, you know what? You approach that's a fine. This zombie one and the what if one didn't make much sense to me. I
Yeah,
had too many. I tried to kind of quiet it down. Just like, look, you're just watching an animated, like just watch it. Then there'll be another thing. There'll be another thing. Their intelligence would vary so much.
hmm
Like Tony Stark and Doctor Strange ending up in the same place, similar to Infinity War. Um, but if they were zombies, that shouldn't even have. It just didn't make sense. And then they were teaming up and fighting together, seemingly. But then at other times, their intelligence is really dumb, like normal zombies, kind of like, and it would just vary so much. And I had so many questions throughout the thing. I was just like, I can't. I'm trying. I know some things are really cool, like seeing a Wonder who is a zombie and stuff like that. Like, yeah, that's cool. But um, I couldn't get my head around the plot. Like, I just there were so many holes. It felt like The Dark Knight Rises, where I was just distracted by so many holes that it was, yeah.
I was just forcing myself to watch it. I was like, ugh. I was like watching it. I was like, okay, like watch it in the daylight. Watch it when there's
Like, it
like a
was
lot of
scaring you.
sun. It was like freaking me out because I was just like, I don't want to think about it. It's like the anticipation of like how the world's gonna end or whatever.
Right, right,
And it's
right.
like I don't think people are gonna come back to life after they die. I just think
No,
like there's gonna be a pathogen that's gonna make us attack each other, which could happen because we
it
mess up stuff so
could.
much in the labs.
It really
But
could.
it's also like the anticipation that someone's gonna like jump out and get you.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm just like, just end it. Let's just be done.
yeah.
But
They love the jump scares.
no, I already told my friend, I'm like, if there's zombies, I'm like, I'm offing myself first. I don't want to deal with this.
There probably will be one. I like I say, I'm not I'm not a fan for different reasons. It's not so much the scaring me for me. It's just the rules not making much sense. Um,
Yeah.
what I will say is that the moment in I think it was the finale of season one,
hmm
where I think Strange opened up a portal to loads of the zombies to fall. Like, that was kind of cool because it was because you're feeling for the people to try and get away, and
hmm
this was a nice distraction so they can get away. It was no danger to them. It was a danger to the Ultron Supreme or whatever it was.
hmm
Um, so yeah, that was the only time. Otherwise, it was just kind of like, yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like when you talked about World War Z, I just like immediately started laughing because I just remembered that guy that was like the hope of everyone and he just accidentally shoots himself
Oh wait, which one? Say it again.
in World War Z.
Yeah.
He like
Wait.
is walking off like the plane or whatever and he drops the gun because he's nervous and he shoots himself and he was like the hope of everyone.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I watched that and I was just like, what? And I'm like,
It's been
okay,
so
never
long
mind.
since I watched
It
that.
was like a funny movie that like my family watched together because we thought it was funny that they like so we're Jewish and they have like Israel in there and they're like, oh yeah, we have like one person on the thing that like thinks of the absolutely ridiculous like scenario and comes up with a plan for it. And we're
Right,
like, yeah, Israel's like the only one there. And then it was like Brad Pitt shows up immediately decimated. It's like, okay,
right.
never mind. Screw this.
This is a
But
Brad Pitt movie now.
but yeah, like going back to Iron Man himself.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
I liked his ending in Endgame. I thought it was like well deserved because I knew going into Infinity War, I was like, we are losing our team. Like we
yeah.
won't have them. And like, yes, they're coming back together because in Civil War, the Russo brothers did a great job of having like, yes, you're focused on the Accords, but it's
Mm.
actually Zemo, and his plan isn't to kill anybody; it's to like destroy like this hope, this belief in superheroes, which he did. He did a great job.
Relationships. Yeah.
And then you have like Infinity War and Endgame, and you're just like, I don't want to lose them, but you are. Like it's kind of
Yeah.
like saying goodbye to your childhood. Like we're
Yeah.
growing up, and like
Yeah.
again with Phase 4, I watched some of the movies. I did not like them. I watched the TV shows as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think I liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier the best,
Mm-hmm.
and I did not think I would.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went into it not gonna. I'm like I'm not gonna like this. I
Yeah.
loved it. I haven't seen anything for the Thunderbolts except for the picture, like the
Right.
poster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited, but I feel like I'm gonna be asked to leave the theater because I'm gonna smack talk that little white boy who believes that he's like Captain America now, the fake Captain America. Oh, when he got his ass kicked by the Wakandans in the show, I was like,
Yeah, it
in
was
your face.
amazing, wasn't it?
I was like, I had a mouth of a sailor like the entire every time he showed up in an episode. I was like, I hate you. You suck.
Yeah.
You will never be him. Someone needs to tie you down and tell you every day you will never be Captain America. Like you are terrible.
Don't you think that they did a good job of, again, it was that
Yeah, making
whole,
his character because like everybody's gonna hate him
yeah,
because you're not gonna like the person that replaces him.
yeah, yeah. Like they
Exactly.
really made you hate him, but
Yeah.
they showed what drove him to that. Like they really, um,
Yeah, they showed that and they
yeah,
kind of showed kind of like the American ideal of like we
yes,
need a poster child
yes,
and this is what we think Captain
and the
America was, but
pressure,
it's like it's
yeah,
not.
yeah,
It's not him because
yeah,
again, like even Zemo said that he's like,
hmm,
Steve Rogers wouldn't do this. He's like, I
yeah,
think he's the only person that got the super serum that
that's
was
right,
not changed by it,
yeah, exactly.
and that's a big thing coming from Zemo.
Yeah, it was great. Like he and also it was a great endorsement of Sam because he
Mm-hmm.
so quickly said, "Would you take this super soldier serum?" No, like no
Yep.
hesitation, and he was really impressed by that. But like,
And I'm excited for his movie. I'm not going to watch the trailer as well because like I
yeah,
don't like watching the trailers anymore because
yeah,
I'm just like it'll ruin it. I just
yeah,
I'll buy a
exactly,
ticket. I'll go see it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think so for what's his name, John, what was his name? The Walmart Captain America.
Whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
Walmart. That's the perfect version. Yes, he is
right,
the Walmart
Walmart
version.
Captain America.
He's
See,
not
I
even
even
the Target
recognized it
version.
for you.
He is the Walmart version. Yes.
Yeah, John. Anyway, um, I felt that they made us really dislike him and hate him, and then what I found was he was almost driven to. First of all, he was the wrong person, but he was picked, and then he tried to do it to the best of his ability, with the
Mm-hmm.
pressure that came from and like I basically ended up putting less blame on him and more feeling more pity for him, and he wants to be someone. He has a unattainable ideal to live up to. He can't do it. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have the abilities to do it. And then he witnessed and then to add to it, witnessing his best friend getting killed in that way, just then sent it to. He already had troubles, and it sent him over the edge. And so I have some. And also when they would show like his wife and stuff like that, and I think a kid coming along the way or something, um, it just kind of created a bit of a balance. I feel like they molded his character quite well, and there are fans of him, and I
Mm-hmm.
understand. I understand that. Falcon Winter Soldier was great. I think the only problem for Falcon Winter Soldier for me was the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That
It was
was
just
a whatever plot.
yeah,
I was focused more on like the characters themselves.
yeah,
But like it kind of also shows you too. We can't bring in like this is not the type to bring in another Iron Man because I know there's talks of getting Iron Heart and the
yeah,
comic books are amazing and like
yeah,
yes I would love to see her and
mm,
we've seen like a little tease of her now and
yeah,
again
yeah.
and we'd
In
love to see more.
Yeah, in Wakanda Forever and stuff.
Yeah.
Because I am a Stark Industries slave. I want to see Ironheart, and I can't wait to see it and to see how they do it. But the
But
ones,
unfortunately, I feel like we're gonna go against like the good old boys, kind of like what
yeah,
Star Wars had. So I
yeah,
think they're
yeah.
waiting a little bit,
Oh yeah,
but I
yeah.
think it's gonna pay off.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. Uh, but also, if it goes ahead, I know that it will be because there is a good story behind it.
Yes.
Because they've had to rejig, like before things were getting forced out, and then now that they've had the space to creatively look at things, if they decide to go ahead with it, I'll feel like this is warranted, not just because they're trying to fill space. They've now spaced things out. Um, Even despite the whole pushing for Disney Plus content that time, I have to say, first of all, Falcon and Soldier, like I was saying, that was the thing I wasn't a fan of, but the other stuff I loved, and it is the only superhero flick to deal with racism in America in that way that I have ever
Mhm.
seen. It was incredibly powerful and emotional. Um, uh, but the first one that they brought out, One Division, for me is just one of the best things that they have done.
It's
Literally,
so weird. It's so weird. Like, who would thought that they would make a TV show based off of that, or
yeah,
like that a storyline?
yeah.
I think the only thing that people didn't like was that she was a witch, that it was always in her and not a mutant.
I think that made it unique. Some of the things that they have to accomplish is
Hmm.
we're a whole load of comic book fans. We know too much, way too
Yes.
much. They have to find ways to surprise us or to take us in different directions. And so, and then as well as continuation of the universe that they've built up. So things like that for me, using that as a way to introduce mutants, I think would have been may have been a bit too much. But they can always still, which comics have been doing for ages, they can always still retcon and actually
Hmm.
have the capacity of witchcraft being a mutant ability. They can still always go back to that if they wanted.
Yeah.
But even just forgetting that, having um, the explanation of how her and Pietro got their powers being that innate thing that has always been within her, for me was a really good like, whoa. So she knew like it completely reimagined like Age of Ultron became so much better than it was based
Yes.
because of that, right? So many things beforehand, even Civil War got better because of that. Because with Civil, you now understand their relationship so much more, and so them fighting each other now has a bigger thing when you look in hindsight. Um, One Division for me is one of the cleverest series to ever happen in general, and I think people sleep on it. I'm a massive Matrix fan, and I think it has the kind of depth of the Matrix in its own way. Like
Hmm.
honestly, I've watched it several times, and I find more and more new things as I watch it. Whether it's bits of dialogue, where it's something placed, whether it's coloring, whether it's it was really. I found it to be a very deliberate series. You know, they thought about every single thing, not just oh let's just have them act and whatever. So yeah, I have way too much praise about that, and I would also say this. I don't know if you watched the
Yes.
Loki series.
Season 2 was amazing. Actually just
Yeah,
recently watched it,
right.
and it fixed everything for
It
me. I
fixed
was just like,
everything, right?
okay, yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good with
Yeah.
this. I like it. I want
Exactly.
to know what happens next, but I love it.
Yeah.
But with like
'Cause-
WandaVision, I would write down like all the clues that I saw like from the
yes.
commercials,
Week
and
to
I was
week.
like, okay, because I thought someone was doing that to them, and I'm like, who would it be? Why is this happening? What's going on? How is
Yeah.
this like possible?
Yeah.
And then
It's
like
a who
seeing
done it.
like fan favorites of like Darcy and stuff from Thor, and I'm
Hmm.
like, she has a degree now. She's smart.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
Exactly. You
Yeah.
can take her seriously now. I had a Darcy was one of those characters who in Thor one I really enjoyed her character. In Thor two, I felt that they had over like like lent way too much on the comedy with her, and it felt like she didn't have much of a thing except she has an intern as well now, and they're just joking around.
Yeah.
One Division now, she was a serious character. She still had her humor, she still had everything, but she was a serious character, and I loved that. Um, Wu, like they made him. I mean, again, he was kind of a joke character in Ant
Well,
Man.
like remember with Flores, she would just pop up the card.
Yeah, for it,
He
like, I
still
love
did
it. And
it.
then he became an actual like, and now these are characters who before the MCU and just comics didn't care about, didn't maybe them even made up, and then because of this I love them, like I want to see more of them, and it's so that's what some of them did before it got. And why I found that we did a kind of a retrospective on Phase Four at some point, and we did a ranking. And my conclusion, at least for myself, was that Phase Four was not as good, but it's more that there were more misses than usual. There were still
Yes.
really good things from there, and it's better than what we remember. Like if we were to recount them, there are more things that you might enjoy than you might remember because uh, phase three, the feeling coming out of phase three was they're all hits. Phase three, there were some misses in phase two. For some people, maybe even phase one for one of the two things. Some people didn't really enjoy Incredible Hulk, for example. I liked it, but it might have been boring for some, etc. Captain America didn't hit everyone in the same place. Winter Soldier fixed that. And even in phase two, people think like, well, not everyone was a fan of Iron Man 3, not everyone was a fan of For the Dark World. Again, I like them both, but acknowledging the things that didn't work. Um, phase three, it was like hit, 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 hit. Like it's like we found our thing. So when phase four went back to some of them are hits, some of them not, it creates a different. It's like coming back from a really good holiday, and then you're just back on the grind, and stuff like that. So I found I really enjoyed Eternals. I loved it, and
You are
I,
the only person I have ever heard admit that
oh,
out loud and on like
I
film.
love saying it loud and proud. And do you know what I find? Like, so there are people who were not a fan, and they might never be a fan, but there are people who have said watch it twice because if you watch it the second time, it is going to hit you very differently. Now, I liked it the first time because it was very different, but I had some, and then that week, so that there were actually in the UK there were two premieres for that. There was one in the Science Museum, and then there was the actual kind of red carpet one later in the week. And in the second one, I found myself enjoying it far more, and I'm noticing more things that I'd missed out because it was a longer burn. There were things that I wasn't picking up, which I picked up the second time round, and a lot of friends who watched. My friend Paul said the same thing. He was not really a big fan, and it's like on rewatching, I actually really like this, and there's so much more potential. So I'm finding this, and it's not going to hit everyone the right way, but I think if it was given a chance, it's something that could have also improved. The things that didn't work could have also improved more. Um, I really enjoyed, like I say, with Loki season one. I liked season two. I loved, and in fact, season two made me then love season one, which is it's a weird right. You see what I mean? Shang-Chi is one of the best MCU movies, I
Yes.
think. Right? Um, I very much enjoyed Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. I understand where the problem lies with it. And for me, this Doctor Strange was a big product of that issue with Bob Chapek that I mentioned. So
Hmm.
they were very much um, ship to Disney Plus, just churn content, and you don't care about quality. Kevin Feige cannot split himself in all these places now. So whereas before he had a hand on each and everything, he has to delegate now. And on top of that, he doesn't have the control that he had as a creative anymore. The marketing team did. What did the marketing team do? They made this a different movie as to what it actually was. People were
Hmm.
expecting Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. That's not what it was. It was Doctor Strange, a sequel to Doctor Strange 2 and a sequel to WandaVision. And when all the expectations are left out the window, it's just him dealing with the guilt that he had from Infinity War and Endgame and becoming a happier person. But the one not always being the one. The way they put it was holding the scalpel or something like that. And then the things to do with Wanda. With Wanda, there was a bit that was missed. There was something that they should have done in between WandaVision and there. And uh, and if that hole isn't filled, some people will be confused as to Wanda's position. But the way this movie was billed is a multiverse movie. In the trailer, they showed Xavier's chair. They showed that there was an Illuminati. They showed that there's this and that and the other. Everyone's thinking, this is, we're getting mutants back. We're getting the multiverse back. People's expectations are there. So once you see this Illuminati and then they're just killed off the way they are, it's like you're left with this empty feeling. Like, what? Wait, what was I watching? This has nothing to do with any of that at all. Now, when you've seen Deadpool, right?
Obviously.
Okay, I just had to make sure. And for everyone here, Deadpool spoilers, right? Now, when Deadpool did exactly the same thing, they managed to actually keep under wraps the random cameos like Johnny Storm, who's in there, so that when he is killed off like that, it is hilarious as hell. It is funny. First of all, you are happy that you got this surprise cameo, and then when it's killed off, it's absolutely hilarious. But when the movie started, you are under no illusions that this is about Deadpool and Wolverine, and that is it. That's what the movie is about. Everything else is second tier. You don't even know what they are. If they did the same thing for Doctor Strange with the marketing, it would have been a lot different. I remember one interview that Kevin Feige had. I think it might have been the American premiere, and they asked him like, "Oh, can you tell us about such and such to do with Multiverse of Madness?" His face seemed so kind of depressed, and he was just like, "Well, I think you've probably seen too many things as it is in the trailers anyway, so like I'll let you watch it," kind of thing. He was visibly annoyed that whereas before, what they would do is put fake trailers to make people think something different, to set people's expectations and stuff. Like he couldn't do any of that. So I think for me it's a result of bad marketing that it is the way it is. That's what I think. And now for me, I very much practice leaving my expectations at the door when I'm about to go into a movie theater, and I ended up enjoying it for what it was rather than what the trailer seemed to make it be. I told you I'm an Illuminati fan. The fact that they were going to be in it excited me to levels that were just like crazy, and that was a big letdown because I'm not getting what the kind of thing that I was expecting. But it wasn't about that. They should never have even mentioned Illuminati or anything beforehand in the trailers. It's Doctor Strange movie, and it's Scarlet Witch. It's Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch. That's what this is about. Nothing else. It's not about the multiverse. They happen to go through some. That's not what it's about. So yeah, that's my pitch. That's my my TED talk for for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
I mean, I didn't like it
Mm,
because again, like my hopes were up too high, and I was like
yeah.
really upset about a lot of stuff. But
Mm,
um, Deadpool and Wolverine did it so much better. They did it in
yeah.
such a way that was beautiful.
Hmm.
I saw it twice in one day. I saw it with a friend in the morning, and then I was in traffic and I was texting my other friends. I'm like, "Hey, do you want to see this tonight?
Yeah.
I have to see it again because I
Hmm.
need to." Because it was like my Marvel brain like kicked back in. It was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm paying attention now." Because
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
watch any trailers because I love Wolverine so much, and I was like,
Right.
I don't want to know what the
Yeah.
movie is going to be about
Exactly.
because I don't want my hopes up because so far again like there's so many misses and now that
Yes.
Marvel and Disney have their hand in this and they have money, what are they going to do?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I was like noticing all the stuff in like Tony Stark's office that Happy was in,
Yeah.
and I was asking my friend later who was like really into Marvel. I'm like, okay, when you watch it again, I want you to look at the what Earth it is because I'm
Yeah.
like, it's a different timeline. Like that is something else. We never go back to that.
Hmm.
We go to the offshoot of a different Earth where
Yeah.
he doesn't make that choice,
Yeah.
and
That's right.
that's where the story takes place.
Exactly. Exactly.
And it fixed so much stuff because like I'm one of the few people I guess that does not like the movie Logan
Right.
at all. Like I cannot stand it.
Fair.
I want to like burn it down. I'm like it never happened. But
Fair.
because I've read so many Wolverine comic books, I'm like that's not gonna do anything. Like shut up. That's stop. That's not how he's gonna die. And that's not how it goes. But watching Deadpool and Wolverine like brought my hope back
Yeah.
for Marvel. That's why I like watched Loki season 2.
Hmm.
And because I really like Loki as a character, but I was really worried what they were going to do in season 2, so I like took a break.
Yeah.
But Deadpool and Wolverine, like I didn't care about the bad guy, I just cared about them.
Hmm.
And Ryan Reynolds kept saying like, one of the jokes I guess was everyone thought Taylor Swift was going to be in the movie. And he said, so it saved them because they're
Yeah.
like, because everyone had this weird theory about her being in the movie.
Mm.
He's like, we didn't have to worry about it getting leaked.
Yeah. Right. Right. Right.
And
It's
then, yeah, because like, and then seeing it, it was just like, this is amazing. This is like all the Deadpool comic books I could ever want in this movie. It's like
in one
everything
movie.
Wolverine. I've always wanted this team up because I always hear about them talking about each other in the comic books.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then also like Deadpool whispering to Wolverine, like, they're gonna make you do this till you're 90. And I'm like, they better damn well, because I need another one right now. And I know they want to do one with Tom Holland as Spider-Man.
Yeah, I don't like, again, in terms of expectation setting, I have said to myself that might be the very last one with Logan, right? And they probably after maybe we might see them again in Secret Wars, which would make sense with the as they translate all the different kind of worlds to the MCU. Then that will make most sense. And then after the kind of semi reboot that's likely to come after Secret Wars, they'll probably have a different direction with how they're going to do mutants, most likely. So I've set my expectations there, but the way that they executed this was great. The way the marketing counts for so much. Like I managed to stay away from. I watched the first trailer, and then that's where I stopped it, and I stayed away from everything else. Afterwards, I realized there were so many rumors about which Fox people were going to be in it or not. I didn't even think about that. I didn't allow myself to theorize. I just didn't think about who might be in it. So I got the best reaction every single time someone appeared and stuff like that. When it was Cap and then it was Johnny Storm, I got massive reactions both times. It was absolutely great. When he got killed off, it was hilarious. Like, it's stuff like that. And again, if they imagine if he showed up in the trailer, people will think, oh, the Fantastic Four's in this, right? They're probably expecting more. Reed, Sue, the Thing, anything else. At the very least, expecting him to last most of the movie. Maybe not all of it, but most of it and stuff like that. And then there would have been an element of disappointment if you saw Blade. Even if Gambit, like, if they showed that, it was the best decision to not have any indication that Gambit was going to be in it, because that made it awesome. But also, looking at it objectively, he was there for a very short time. He didn't say or do much, looking at it objectively. But we're grateful for every single second that we got because of the way it was presented to us. And that's why I say it's just, it is very different. Infinity War did a similar kind of thing. In fact, they gave us fake scenes. And so we think something's going to happen, and then we don't. And then it doesn't happen. Endgame, all the trailers were based in the first 20 minutes. Nothing was afterwards. So everything was a surprise. Seeing that 5 years later, once Thanos' head was cut off, it's like, wait, so what's the rest of the movie? Like, we've seen all the scenes that come in the trailer. This seems like an end, and then it's like 5 years later. It was, wow, we're in for a ride now. Like, everything is a bonus. Going back to 2012, bonus, like crazy bonus. Going back to even For the Dark World was a bonus for people, even if they didn't enjoy that movie. So yeah, Deadpool did it absolutely correctly, and I love Ryan Reynolds. Like, interestingly enough, I ran into last week. I was in a cafe, and I overheard this American guy talking to this lady, and I just happened to have taken my earphones off at this point, and he was like, yeah, and I was directing this guy, and he's in that Deadpool and something. He's in this movie Deadpool and something, and yeah, I did this sitcom with him, and I literally I shout over. It's like, two guys ago on the pizza place, and he looked at me and was just like, you know that? And I think he was surprised that anyone would even know the shows, let alone in the UK and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I've been a big fan of Ryan Reynolds because of that. And I told him that I was at the Deadpool premiere, and I actually mentioned it to Ryan. And he said, what did he say? He said, he's like, oh my God, yeah, that's still just one of my favorite role. Sorry, Hugh. But yeah, it's my favorite role, kind of thing. And it was really funny. And the guy, basically, he had directed, I think, I looked up afterwards. He said a couple of episodes, but I looked up afterwards. He directed like 5 or 6 episodes of Two Guys Ago on a Pizza Place. But anyway, all to say that I've just been a massive fan of Ryan Reynolds, like, for a really, really long time. And he did a lot of work in pulling this together and getting all the right people, bringing Hugh back and stuff. The Logan was epic. I'll give it that. I've only watched it once, But I know, yeah,
I only watched it once too, and I remember my
yeah,
dad asked me, he's like, "Are you gonna?" Because like that was our thing when I was younger, was like going to see all the Marvel movies, and he's like,
right.
"Are you gonna cry too?" And I'm like, "No, I'm pissed. I've never been more angry in my life." And there's like people all around us sobbing their eyes out, and I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Can we leave? I'm not gonna watch like any more of this. I'm
yeah.
done."
I
And he's
refuse
just
to
like,
see
"Wait a
this.
minute, we're not done." And I'm like, "I am."
But he's been doing it for so many years. He's been at it for so long.
Yeah, like it doesn't matter that like he's done. It wasn't that he was like done with the role. I just did not like what they did to the character because
Right.
like I'm a huge fan of Hugh Jackman. I Wolverine is my ultimate, hands down, ride or die. Any no matter
Ah,
what he wants, I am for that character.
gotcha, gotcha.
Everything. And
He's your
I love
Iron
Hugh
Man.
Jackman. Yeah, when you did the premiere, I was pissed. I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" I was like, "You're breathing the same air as Hugh Jackman," because like I that's how I got into college, was to get into the university I wanted to get to into. We had to write like a essay, this whole big paper about like who would we want to have dinner with, alive, dead, fictional, real, and I wrote about Hugh Jackman, and I got in because of that. And they said they
Right.
laughed because they really liked it, and I'm like, "Yeah," because I would make him dinner because I can't cook, but I put a pizza
But
in
you
and I
would
talked to him.
freaking try, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, so
I'd probably
he's your
pass out
Tony
if I ever
Stark.
met him.
Yeah,
I'd like immediately black out, be on the ground, done. I'd be
yeah.
like, I die if I met him.
Oh,
It would
if
be
I
the greatest thing in the
knew,
world.
if I knew before, I would have tried to get some kind of
No, it would be
message.
like I would. You'd have to get like another ticket because I would fly to the UK just for like an hour just to do that, and then I'd come home because I would just need to meet him once.
Yeah.
And then I'd be
Oh
like,
man.
okay, I can die with like no regrets in my life. Like I don't care about anything else. I got to meet him, and that would be it. Or like I got to see him from afar. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I'd just be like, we're breathing the same air right now. Like,
yeah, yeah.
can we just take a minute?
Oh man, I wish I could have made that happen. That
No,
that
it's fine.
was, well, no,
It's okay.
no,
I'll just resent you for the
organizing.
rest of my life. It's okay.
Organizing that was another. It was a whole other issue. As well as that was a lot. Um, yeah, but I'm glad. To be honest, they were very generous with the amount of people that they allowed in that, and that it was that they gave us some kind of intimate time. We're very, very fortunate because a lot of people really wanted that. And yeah, yeah, we were fortunate. I hope you do get to do one of these kind of things, whether in the States or anywhere else. Like,
One day I'll make it my mission now. I'll become like
yeah,
the best Wolverine cosplayer in the world if I need to.
it, that's not what will do it. I say this interest. So I'm in. We have MCM Comic Con in about a month, and I'm hosting a panel for the for the first time hosting. I've been on the panels, but the first time hosting one, and it is about premiere events and things like that to demystify certain things. Because over the years, there are a lot of misconceptions that people have, and I really, after Deadpool and Wolverine, I really wanted to try and make them clear in a forum that where people can ask what they want, and I can kind of be free and just kind of get it, in one place. And one of the things that I really want to get across is that going to these things 95% of the time doesn't have anything to do with being one of the best cosplayers of particular characters.
Hmm.
Sometimes it can get you, like, there is a slither of a chance sometimes it gets you places if you are the person that is known for a particular character, or but a lot of it is more about the enthusiasm about certain characters. But being good, and the reason I like to emphasize it is because there are a lot of people who put their self-worth on that. And it's like, I didn't get to go to this because I'm not good enough to be. And it's like, no, because if that was the case, I would not be there. When I started
Hmm.
doing this thing, it wasn't because I was the best cosplayer. And then I'll start to list the things that I did do and that other people do to get into these. And a lot of it is based on luck, opportunity, who you know, and things like that. There is work that you can do to get in there, and it's not to do with being the best. The best builders, the best creatives that I see, I don't usually see them at these things. Now, with some of the with some of the leeway that I get, sometimes I try to get some of them in there. So I try to make sure that they can get in some of these events. But yeah, but ordinarily they don't get directly reached out to and stuff like that. So I always like to kind of sell people who it's like, not you, you're talking about different, you're talking about something completely different. There are people who are just kind of like, just they'll post in their stories or something like that. It's like, after an event like this, oh, I'm kind of worthless, I'm not good at this thing and whatever. And it's like, no, it wasn't the people who are good and great that got into it. That's not the way it works and stuff. But yeah. That's a whole other podcast.
No, I hope you recorded the panel, because I would love to like know.
I think it will be recorded, because it's something that they actually wanted. So like, yeah, I think it will be recorded. And to be honest, I would love to do that kind of thing in other Comic Cons as well, just to talk about an experience in that, and seeing how it differs from those in the States, because I know that it's a bit different in the States a lot of the time. Yeah.
Well, okay. We'll have to wrap up the episode because you have broken the record now. You have put me at like 2 hours.
Oh, outstanding. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to cut anything because it actually went really well and I think it's good. So
yes, same. I really enjoyed that.
We definitely want you back whenever you want to come back.
Absolutely.
Because there's too much to talk about,
There
honestly.
is.
Like, I want to talk to you about anime. I want to talk to you about, more of this stuff and like building and everything like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we can just do one about ice cream. Who knows?
Easily 2 hours.
Yes. So where can everybody find you? Like online, anywhere else, like in at cons? Like, where can they find this panel?
So you find me on pretty much every social media that I'm on for UGO and Cosplay. That's UGO and Cosplay. On YouTube, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, and all that stuff. And yeah, I'm usually at MCM London Comic Con. That's ones I'm definitely at. And then I go to a couple of cons in the States. Usually, Emerald City Comic Con is now become kind of a home con, and Dragon Con is my ride or die con. That's the one that I'll say till I'm 90. I'll probably end up still going to it. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, you know where to find the podcast at this point. I feel like it's on Spotify, it's on iHeartRadio, it's on YouTube at Devious Dumplings, and that is also our Instagram and our TikTok and I think Twitter. I refuse to call it X because it's just dumb.
That's correct.
Yeah, and I've been Allie. Thank you again so much. This was so much fun. I don't really get to talk about Marvel that much anymore since I've moved past it, but I love just digging in.
We'll have another in-person conversation about it.
Yes. Over. We'll go to the anime bar. We'll have fun.
Yes. Very excited.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Hold on one second, Ugo.
Thank you.